Assalamu alaikum. Look at this guy's in the background. Holy. Welcome to Canada. The guy's, I don't know what the fuck is he doing. Anyways, you probably will hear not only my voice because I'm not sure what language is that, but it's like you can hear it all the way over here. It's like listening to international news. Anyway, so basically, it's educational video because you heard so much about AJ and his case, blah blah blah. But someone book Monamion. It's like blind eye. We don't understand what this guy's saying. But anyways, now let's educate you a little bit, right? So share some knowledge, experience. So there's two outstanding issues, because we need to talk about the collective, right? The collective, well-being of this human race, right? As a race, now we are races. Like you've lived humanity, you're a race, a human race. Turkish coffee they call it, right? هو عربية, alhamdulillah. And this is the the plastic version of the original, indigenous صب القهوة. Anyways, so the two outstanding things, maybe three things in the world right now currently, aside from the ongoing war, and the genocide taking place in Gaza, and there are some people who are still standing on the fence. Oh, it's not a genocide. Well, that's each to their own, because there's many people in this world who are saying, well, there's a genocide. You are just trying to tiptoe, to please the social construct and public opinion. So now that's foreign policy, is international, and we have a lot of problems here in Canada, and you just show the guy, and now it's quiet. All of a sudden, maybe it's drop. I have no idea. Anyways, so the idea is this: when we have collectively, as Canadians, failed to understand there's these policies, right, are being enacted as we speak, because before you know it, you have to be. The God forbid you use social media, for example, right? God forbid. But here's the thing: in a rule of the law, in a duly elected democratic, right, rule of the law, you have two party, a party B. Generally speaking, I mean, you have two major parties, and then you have some other, newcomers, to this new game of politics. It's like a golf, VIP club. You gotta be from the VIP to play golf. It's just, or you have to be born into golf so you can afford the gear and the membership and all the EV propelled EV toys, right? They're like torpedoes, right? Like, anyways, so technology is at the heart of everything we do, and if it wasn't for technology, as we say, we would not be able to resort to recording myself, AJ, upload to YouTube, right? The masses see it on the World Wide Web before it actually, be consumed by the masses, right? And now, who controls the web is the question. It's not who owns the web. Because who owns the web? Well, it is the collective infrastructure. So it's the World Wide Web. So when you have to go and want to put a bid a proposal to build the interprovincial bridge to ease the traffic flow, right, to help between Ottawa and the nation of capital fuckery, and Quebec, because that's the Ottawa, right? That's the Ottawa, or whatever you call that, right? That's the Ottawa region. So that's basically what happened. So anytime you need to build the interprovincial bridge, you need both parties, A and B, to come and fund the activities, and who bears the cost. And basically, there's the whole infrastructure project here. It's not like, just put a Lego and it takes time. And this time, it requires what? Planning and engineering and what have you. But not to mention the building part before you even have to dig a shovel. You have to do all the analysis required before you go and embark on this venture capital funded by the public taxpayers, because who's funding this activity? And that's fundamentally what is happening on a grand scale. The issue where the main three things are, again, from a national point of view, if you're in Canada, you have the influx of many, right, people, right, or sheeple, or the new wave, the generation, right, the new wave, because now Canadians, if you're living here for at least 25 years, you will understand what I'm talking about. Let alone you've been native Canadian or indigenous, person who had already gone through the meat grinder, so to speak, right? So I was indigenous are through the meat grinders, and that's basically when you go through closer to the source of the fuckery. The democracy, the face of the democracy is, has to be revealed, right? Because when you're far away, you only see so much. Because again, it's time. If you have a candle, like the cigarette, for example, and there's a candle, and the light is only going to be radiating, showing as much. There's only so much the flame can travel and illuminate, and the illumination drops. The power intensity drops. It's called 1/r squared, right? So the person right away will see, but the person a meter away will see quarter, and so forth. We can multiply. So now, when you make things and you move away from the harmony of life, which is life is a circle, it's a motion every day. So one day you're at the bottom, one day at the top. So perhaps you have been censored on social media. Perhaps you have been censored at work. You have been we see this every day, and the censorship comes from the fact that when the people are exercising their right to protest, and this is under the Constitution of Canada, the freedom of thought, because before you can believe something and express yourself and associate yourself with others, you have to be able to think for yourself. And again, you don't have to agree with every single person 100%. Otherwise, we have court system, because if everybody's in agreement, everybody's happy. Well, clearly, you don't have to be in agreement 100% with the people. All you need to establish is 80%, and that's automatic. Right now, in the legal system, because there is natural, fundamental, unalienable natural rights and freedom, which is safeguarded by, the Constitution that you call, pick your favorite constitution in the land you live on, because I don't have to sit and decipher your until your process. It's a framework. Every constitution is built on this concept. So if you live in a land and you call it democratic, this is how democracy works. Now, what happened is, because naturally you just only need to be 80%. It's a circle, right? So you're like you're in agreement. You're in love. You're in 100% agreement. And as far as you go, it drops, right? And that's basically your circle of life, because you don't just come, you're not a stick figure. Last I checked, you're a 3D body, right? Moving, living being. You're not a robot. You're not a humanoid, right? So you have the ability to mind your own business and think for yourself. So the Constitution operates to safeguard and protect these, natural. So now, in the legal terms, when you now absorb and now you subject people to Constitution Act, which rid them their true identity as an individual, as a human being first, right? And that's why I need a national birth record, right? Well, clearly I'm breathing, right? So, and that's how, again, you get a national birth record, which essentially is going to be safeguarded and trusted with the locality, or if you have been born in a hospital, in my case, born at home, no problem. There were, at the time they had midwives, right? So they still do. So, anyways, all to say is very simple. Everybody goes through life motion. So when you now triangulate, right, and now you have a pyramid, right? Now there's a trust. There's that trust, right? Because you have that trust. You're trusting now, based on this triangle of trust, because trust the extent, because it's a man, right, is his word. When you say something, you follow through. Follow through, right? Action, follow through action. So, and that's your trust. Now, the same concept is this. That is, when you transfer, you're not giving away. You're security depositing. Security deposit. You're natural from the top, natural, right? And you're entrusting. That's why it's a trust with the government pick your favorite corporate government, because we live in a corporate world, and essentially it is to safeguard and protect your, because you see the T is here, and then you as all of you, right? You have this, yourself, and your, not just it's your whole body. That's your holy temple. So now basically that's when you look at the Constitution, it's the ability to, first of all, unalienable natural rights and freedom is what? So the Constitution is only safeguards. Those are granted by him, right? Now who's him? And you go back to your scriptures if you are, and if not, then well, feel free. It's freedom of thoughts, believe, because before you can believe, you have to think, right? Thought, believe, right? And then you express yourself, and then finally, what do you have? Association. So you associate, right? But you don't always have to associate with everyone, because you are all. This stays you. This remains here. That's why that's yours. Like you only need 20% to keep for yourself. That's why it's easy to think 80%. It's a rule of thumb in engineering. When we say rule of thumb, it's 80-20. So naturally, you just have to be in agreement in 80-20% capacity, right? So that's 0, 80, 100, right? Trust law is here, right? So now when they take the trust law, this goes at what? Becomes, you shift. So suddenly now this becomes the triangle, right? You need two triangles again. Trust, and because now you go further and further, and you're now at your nose level. At your nose level, you can just have one, right? So as you cut more and more, and slice, and you can do that now with 3D scanning. You can, get a 3D object, and you can run a scanner, and essentially you can get a contour. They call that a contour. So they can basically, restructure your contour in 3D, because now the computer machine is going to read that, and then the result has to be fit to another machine that is going to be able to move in, XYZ. That's why you build 3D printers, and now you can just take a picture. Oh, okay, we can print you this, no problem. Unlimited life, right? It's like you're a robot, but you're just changing the mask on, off, on, off. And that's what unalienable natural rights and freedom mean. That you have the freedom because you're safeguarding this holy temple of yours. So you have your holy temple designed with the body, foundation as a foundation. You need 2 legs, triangle. You need 2 legs. You stand on 2 legs, triangle. You don't stand upside down. Maybe if you're doing yoga or some other thing, sure, but you don't see people walking upward, on their head. It's either you walk upward on your feet or not on your head. You go nose dive. It's called nose dive. So you don't see people anyways. So and that's kind of it's the philosophy of life, because at the end of the day, so long you get an agreement with people, you keep yourself as 8%, 20% is keep yourself, and 80% is an agreement with others. And that's the 10% is your, essentially you have this body, right, and the thoughts. So it's your belief system, which basically is your moral compass, because when you act, because your body, right, that's your body, and then you have your thoughts, and that 20% is for your body and whatever you sustain, because now the body, you're going to act based on what you are getting, and that's what's called perception. It's perceived. So if I'm talking to you, and I'm talking to you normally because we are in agreement 80%, but now when you breach my jurisdiction, natural person is, you can give them below this, we're at that level, and that's it. There's one warning, and after that, it's free for all, because you have to be able to defend those values and belief systems that you carry for yourself. But you don't go and wage aggression. But when someone wages aggression against you, it is the natural right for you to self-defend, go before the rule of the law, and you cannot just go randomly, arbitrarily, detain people for some bullshit. So that's where we live today, and this is unfortunately, it's not like specific to. It's worldwide. Go pick a favorite country you want to live in. It's a digital prison versus a real prison. That's what it is, right? Or essentially, you can only pray harder. That's what they want you to pray harder. But if you don't understand the basic essence of life as going to, I'm from, right? From A to B, right? From to, right? I'm from. So at the end of the day, it's very simple. You know, any sane person does not take a rocket scientist or a PhD graduate and fuckery, so to speak, right? To understand logic and reason. Logic and reason. So you have to be objective with your what? Your theory, because that's what's going to connect internally, and you have that trust that you trust you're applying, and in full capacity to apply the rules of law and be impartial, because objective, being impartial, trying to be as objective as possible. And you look at both sides of the argument, because now you detach yourself from the logic and the reason, because everybody has a logic and everybody has a different reason. Everybody has logic. If you want to, you can force logic, but you cannot justify everything, because the logic has to obey rules again. A truth table, party A, party B. So when there's a dispute, it's not an or. No, it's you have to go A and B, and you have to cross against the facts or the hearsay, because he said, she said, and facts can be falsified. So you have to go under the oath. What truth are you saying? The only truth you can say is, the one that you are. First, you have to be true to yourself, irrespective of what your job is. You speak your truth to yourself. And now in the judiciary system, of course, because it's not 8%. They give you the benefit of the doubt up to your nose, 50%. So because now they are entrusted, and as in trust, they get a share of that trust that you gave before. So now you only drop to something like, this point on 50% if you're lucky, and it all depends between this point and this point. That's another pyramid, and only the elites speak with their nose up, and their word is thy command. What a nonsense. Unless you're a slave and you take orders, you're not obligated, you're not obliged. If something goes against your way of life and your belief and cause no harm, nobody can force you. But if you're okay to continue working for somebody, that's fine. You just understand which contract you're signing. It's just read the contract. So yeah, that's it for now. It's a long enough video for most people, and the battery is about to die. So stay tuned. Part 2, we'll talk more.